Hey yo, I'm Colby from Sanitarian Productions. We're back again with another G.I. Joe action figure review. In this episode, we're taking a look at the 2018 G.I. Joe Convention Exclusive Slaughter Marauders box set. So this thing is really awesome, and I'm just going to say up front, I've always loved Slaughter Marauders. The color scheme has always been awesome. I had all the figures back in the day, and I'm really excited about this convention exclusive set, and that's what we got for you today here. This comes or came in two different versions here. We've got the actual full box set right here, and we're just going to take a quick peek at it. So this thing just lifts, the box lifts off, and you've got all these awesome figures inside of it. Really cool. But now that that's said, we're going to go ahead and close the box back up. And instead, what we're going to do is take a look at the second version of this, the loose bagged version. They pretty much take all the same figures that were in the box and put them in a nice, more economy class version type thing. Nice bag. So we're going to go ahead and set that to the side, move this back into storage, and we're going to concentrate more on the actual loose souvenir set from Python Peril Marauders to the Rescue. I should also point out that if you got the set from the actual convention itself, they also included an accessory kit here that included some alternate heads. For whatever reason, they had some production issues, and Major Bludd has got the wrong head inside, and I think the Laser Vipers also have the wrong heads, so they included a separate little baggie here with a new Major Bludd head and the corrected version of the Laser Viper heads. So that's one of those things that's kind of hard to come by if you didn't get this. So if you're getting these individually or whatever, be on the lookout for that little extra head that comes with the characters as well. So, and we'll get to these as we get to them with the individual figures. But now we're going to zoom in a little bit here, so hold on while we come back down. Alright, cool. So we're going to go ahead and just open this bag out and dump all the figures out, and then we'll take a look at each one of them individually. So let's get to it. Slicing and dicing. Though we're not Mike Tyson. And let's just dump them all out here. This is the fun part, right? What's included? Who knows? Well, most of us know by now, but it's still fun, right? Alright, cool. That bag's gone to the side, so let's kind of sort through this here. We have all the file cards stacked together here. These are usually on the back side of the box set here, underneath the foam that we showed you. We'll look at these individually with the figures. Let's try to sort through this somehow and just see what we got here. Up first we have a Python Patrol Laser Viper. Cool looking. And there are actually 3 of these in the set here. So we will probably end up only reviewing one of these for the duplicate figures, simply because they're the exact same figure, just you get multiples of them, so that's cool. Set those over there. The other duplicate figure is the Heat Viper, which is here, and you also get 3 of those. So again, we'll just do one review for the Heat Vipers, but 3 of them in the pack. Then we also get 3 of the Lampreys. 1, 2, where's the third one? Here he is. 3 of the Python Patrol Lampreys. These guys are cool too, so and then pretty much everything else should be individual figures. So let's see. Let's go ahead and finish the Cobra guys off. Here is Major Bludd. This is a cool one as well. I think all of these are cool though. We have the replacement for Sergeant Slaughter. I'm trying to remember the guy's name here. Sergeant Smasher. I'm looking through the plastic here to try to see and read the file, the figure stand. Sergeant Smasher, yes. This one is slightly different. It's not Sergeant Slaughter. There were some, licensing issues, so they couldn't get actual Sergeant Slaughter, but instead we've got a replacement for him. So that is Sergeant Smasher. So essentially this is a new figure for us. That's cool. Then we've got Hardball. This is again a new figure. We've not seen an actual Hardball figure yet in the 25th anniversary and up line. So this is the first time we're actually getting an updated version of this guy. So that's really awesome. He wasn't originally in Slaughter's Marauders back in the day, but that's fine. We still get the character and we're good with that. Here we have Mutt and Junkyard. I've always really loved this guy, and really anxious to get in here and tear this guy open. But yes, Mutt and Junkyard in the Slaughter's Marauders colors. So very nice. We also have Spirit and Freedom. We've had some difficulties finding a really good Spirit figure, so I'm hoping they've kind of stepped up their game for this guy. We'll get to that in a little while as well. And another fan favorite of mine, Footloose. And actually, to be honest with you, I actually still have my vintage Footloose here from the Slaughter's Marauders line. He's just kind of laying here in the pile here. But Footloose has always been one of those awesome figures that I've loved. I did get the original Collectors Club exclusive, but I have not got around to doing a review of that, so that one was kind of hard to get. So I'm really glad they re-released this guy in the Slaughter's Marauders version here, so that we have another awesome Footloose to take a look at. So yes, we get 6 of the G.I. Joes, and we get 3, 6, 9, 10 Cobras, all in all. Again, 3 individual types of characters plus Major Bludd here. But all in all, very cool, very awesome. Help us complete our Python Patrol stuff. So yes. Yeah, so that's all the figures you get in the set. Very awesome, very cool. What I'm going to do next is just take each one of these individually, and we will look at them and do a review for all of them there. So stick with us here. First and foremost, we're going to go ahead and open up the file cards here and just glance through them real quick here. So all these come in a nice sealed bag here. It's got this sticky back tape so you can reseal it if you want to. Let's get that out there. Alright, cool. So, first up we've got Footloose here, and you can go ahead and pause these right now if you want to read the details and everything, but Footloose. We've got Mutt and Junkyard. Spirit and Freedom. Hardball. Sergeant Smasher. And I've got 2 of them stuck together here, so there we go. Major Bludd. Sorry, fingers were in their way. Major Bludd. The Heat Viper. And Heat Viper number 2. And Heat Viper number 3. Next up is the Lamprey. Lamprey number 2. And Lamprey number 3. Next up we have the Laser Viper. Laser Viper number 2. Laser Viper number 3. Very cool. So these all come nice glossy coat on it here, and then the back is just this plain cardboard like we've seen with all the rest of these in the past. But these are very cool. So yeah, there's all your file cards here. As I mentioned previously here, we also get this nice little alternate head for all the, well, for 4 of these guys here. So we're going to go ahead and just open this thing up and take a look at these guys. This does come loose outside of the packaging, so it's a little bit harder to keep up with, just so that you are aware for any of you people trying to complete your collection. And they also included this set of alternate heads with the boxed version as well, so if you got one of those, that was a pack in to the actual box that was not included in the box. But yeah, so we have an alternate version of Major Bludd here. And I guess I can go ahead and, yeah, we're going to go ahead and open the tape here. And pull this thing out here so you can see it a little bit better here. The alternate head for Major Bludd, or the corrected version of Major Bludd anyways. And we'll throw this in the pack when we're actually getting around to the actual figure itself. And then we have the Laser Vipers here as well. Let's go ahead and open this one as well. And again, we get 3 of these guys because there are 3 figures included. Really the only difference, I think, and I will verify this when we actually get around to it. Trying to look right now and I can't really tell, but I think it's just some extra paint. But we'll look at that a little bit closer when we get to it anyways. But there you go, the alternate head for the Laser Viper. 3 of those. So just be on the lookout when you're getting these secondarily to make sure you try to hunt these things down too. So we're going to go ahead and start here with the Lamprey. So let's go ahead and cut the tape on this guy. The Lamprey itself was the original driver of the hydrofoil for the Cobras. So that's a cool little thing just to keep in mind. So we got some cool stuff going on here. And so we've actually seen a couple of different versions of the Lamprey in the 25th anniversary or modern era line. So we kind of know what to expect out of this figure here. So hopefully it'll stick with us and stay kind of what we expect here. We do have the traditional 25th anniversary figure stand here for the Lamprey. Python Lamprey. Raised Cobra logo, 2, count them, 2 foot pegs. So there we go. As far as weapons go, we've got the traditional assault rifle looking thing for the Lampreys. Very nice, got some nice detail going on in here. Kind of a submachine gun looking thing. It's always been a pretty cool looking weapon here. The original vintage release didn't quite have so much detail on it, but these are really nice. And we also get this little pistol here. Again, some nice detail work going on there. Very cool. The figure itself actually comes with the little flippers on the bottom of his feet already. So that's a nice little touch. There's nowhere to actually store them. So you kind of just have to put them on his feet here. Luckily they do actually have the little extra foot peg in the bottom of them, so you can actually put them on the figure stand with these things attached, which is really nice. We do have a nice little backpack here that comes on the figure itself. It's just a little breathing apparatus looking thing. Not a lot of detail on this thing, but it still looks nice. It's got the 2 air hoses coming out the top there. He does have a removable helmet. Sorry, a non-removable helmet on this one. But the faceplate does pop off like so. And you can just kind of drop it like I did right there. Or stick it back on there and kind of snug it in place there. It's a little bit odd that it pops out so easily. Just kind of push it back into place there and it should be fine there. As far as the rest of the figure goes, it has the same color scheme as the rest of the Python Patrol figures from this set. The nice red and black kind of color scheme going on with the gold highlights all over the place. Lots of little red highlights and details on the actual vest itself here. Really not a whole lot else going on here, but there we go. As far as articulation goes, the head does spin 360 degrees and has plenty of up and down motion. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joint. Standard ball and swivel at the elbow joint. And just a regular swivel at the wrist there. Some nice details on the hands there though, the gloves. Very cool looking. That nice bright metallic gold. Do have the waist twist feature there. And plenty of ab crunch motion going on there. Standard T-hook at the waist or hips. Plenty of back and forth motion. We've got a double knee joint here, if I can get it to work. Double knee joint, and a swivel and rocker here at the ankle. So all in all, really nice articulation on this guy. We'll go ahead and arm him up. Not a whole lot going on these guys, and as you can see, the flippers slightly don't really fit these boots that they have on. They're just a little bit too small, but it works for what it is, and it's got that nice gold feature. This particular one is a little bit bent, so you may have to put it in some warm water to get it to kind of reform and take shape there again, but no big deal there. The backpack fits on pretty easily here. Just kind of shove that around until you find that peg hole in the back. Then you've got the 2 little hose things that connect to the back of the helmet. Just plug those in like so. And you're good to go. Grab his assault rifle. Holds it very nicely. And then we can slap his pistol in the other hand. I do wish they had a holster for the pistol, but it's not that big a deal. It's nice when they do include it, but not really that big of a deal if they don't. So anyways, there we have the Lamprey figure. All in all, this one works pretty well. I actually think I like the original color scheme a lot better. And we also got a couple of these in different iterations. They weren't being called Lampreys, but that's what they were. One came with the Mantis Attack Craft, I think. And we got the original color scheme in the Defense of Cobra Island box set way back in the day. So this is still a nice little update here. I do like the color scheme here, but the figure itself is really not doing a whole lot for me. So, I don't know. Yeah, not a big fan of this guy in this particular iteration, but it is nice to have a another awesome kind of diver figure in the Python Patrol line. So for that, we give it a thumbs up anyways. But there you go. There's the Lamprey. Our next figure is the Python Patrol Heat Viper. This guy is pretty cool looking. At least the original was always a nice figure. Hopefully this one will also continue with that. Let's go ahead and dump him out here and see what we've got. We actually got the classic version of the Heat Viper and the 50th anniversary 2-pack, I believe. And it was a really nice addition. Very cool looking. Alright, so we don't get a whole lot of accessories with this guy, but that's okay. We do get the standard figure stand here. Nice Cobra logo, 2 foot pegs, and the Heat Viper logo on the front there, so very nice. Always glad to see those. The weapon that we get is a nice new black colored version of this rocket launcher thing that he's got. It is got a lot of nice detail work on it, and it's in that nice glossy black color this time, as opposed to the original gray. The actual plastic itself is this kind of real flexible plastic, so that handle there is really kind of moves around quite a bit, so just be aware of that. It's not that big of a deal, but there you go, you've got that. The backpack we have, pull this off of this guy, is the standard backpack from the vintage release in a nice new updated black color. Nice little exhaust pipe going out the back here. Some nice detail work. And again, it's made of that real soft plastic, so this is not going to break or anything. It's a little bit too flexible for me, for my tastes, but you know, it is what it is, so it's still a cool little accessory here. It looks really nice. Peg it into his back like so. And so he does have his little missiles on his feet here. They're not really accessories because they're non-removable, but I mean, you can pop his foot off and take those things off completely, but it's a nice little touch anyways. The ones on the original vintage release, I think, were actually removable. They were kind of easy to lose as well, but these are really nice here. Beyond that, we don't really get any extra accessories at all. I'm going to pull his backpack off for a second here. As far as details on the costume itself, he does have a pistol here that's non-removable, attached to his little vest looking thing here. He's got some pretty nice detail work going on in his costume. The helmet is always kind of an interesting take here. It's a little weird here on the side where they've kind of not really polished it really well, I guess. But the color scheme actually works pretty well with this guy here. I'm actually pretty surprised at this one. This particular, Python Patrol 2.0, if you will, they're kind of hit and miss with how well the color scheme works on the particular figure. We've seen a couple of them that it worked really well on, and a couple that just kind of are ho-hum. This one I actually kind of like a little bit better than I was expecting. Again, standard red stripes. We do have the Python Patrol logo on the side there. The nice gold color on his main uniform there and his hands. So yeah, all in all, pretty nice looking. Lots of wrinkles all over his bottom half of his legs and such, so that's pretty cool. Articulation wise, the head does spin 360 degrees, and you got just a little bit of up and down motion there. Not a whole lot, but yeah, it works for what it is. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joints there. Standard ball and swivel. It's a little stiff here. There we go. Ball and swivel at the shoulder joint, and it looks like we actually got a swivel and a rocker at the hand joint, so a little bonus point there for us. The waist there twists as well, and he's actually got quite a bit of ab crunch feature going on, so that's cool. Standard T-hook at the waist joint. And this guy is pretty flexible, actually, a little bit more than a lot of these ones we've seen in the past, so that's nice. Double knee joint there, and then a swivel and rocker here at the ankle joint. So all in all, this one is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get this guy armed up and ready for combat here. Slap his cool backpack on here. Now the actual weapon itself here, this big old anti-tank thing, it's a little bit weird in that, let's go ahead and get it in his hand here. The original vintage figure had, whoops, that soft plastic does make it a little bit hard for him to grasp. There we go. Sort of. You have to force it in there a little bit and twist it around. There we are. So this extra hose on the back here, on the original vintage figure there is actually a place for the hose to attach, and you can actually see that that peg hole right there in the hose. On this guy there really isn't an attachment point here. So typically what I'll do is just try to peg it on here at the bottom of his backpack, and it kind of works. Any of y'all out there that are watching here, if you have a better idea for where to attach that hose to, drop a comment down below and let us know. It does tend to pop off when you try posing this guy. And as you can see here, the actual hose will pop off here, so it's not that big of a deal. You can just kind of reattach it there. And once you get him armed up, it looks really awesome and really cool, and he is ready to take out some aircraft or tanks or whatever else you want to have him battle. But yeah, I actually like this guy quite a bit here. The original vintage color was a little bit weird. I actually liked it because I guess it just worked for whatever reason. But for me, I actually think that this new Python Patrol 2.0 color scheme gives him a little bit more of a sinister look to him, and I'm actually digging that in this guy. So yeah, this one is a really nice figure, and it works really well. So you'll definitely want to pick one of these guys up. The next figure in this set is the Laser Viper. So the Laser Viper came out in, what, 1990, I think it was, originally, and we have actually seen the Laser Viper released as, again, a convention exclusive in the traditional color scheme 2 years ago, I think, as part of the G.I. Joe convention exclusive. It was one of the add-ons. It was not part of the actual box set itself. So it's nice to kind of get a new version of that one. It's a little bit easier to come by than that secondary pack that you had to try to, steal from somebody to get. But let's dump all this stuff out. Yeah, so also, while I'm thinking of it, don't forget that we also got an alternate head for these guys. So I'm going to pull one of those out and we'll include it here and review it while we're at it here. Let's go ahead and start looking at the accessories here. We've got quite a few things going on with this guy. We do have the traditional figure stand here. It's the same one we've seen with the rest of these Python Patrol guys so far. The raised Cobra logo, 2-foot pegs, Python Laser Viper. Very cool looking. We do have this nice little pistol here. We've seen this I can't talk. This pistol with a couple of different characters so far. It's not got a lot of detail work on it, but it's still really nice. And it works pretty well for what it is. I'll also point out while we're here, he does have a holster on his side here. Tailor-made for that nice little pistol there. So we just kind of stick it in there and he's ready to go. We'll pull it out for the time being. Then we have this really awesome helmet, which is kind of the cornerstone of the Laser Viper guys. It fits on his head like so. It makes him look like a Centurion or a crazy space guy. But it's a cool helmet, and I like it. It's not got a lot of detail work on it, but just enough to make it kind of cool looking. So then we have this cool backpack thing. So this is the Laser Viper backpack. It has these rotating lasers, which you can see here. Flip all the way around to the front and to the back. So you can go whichever way you want to with it. He's got a nice little joystick here that he can control the thing with. I'll slide it in here to his pack there. You can see how well that works. It sits a little high, but luckily you've got this cool adjusty thing here so you can put it wherever you need to. And it actually is fitting kind of loose in here, which is a little bit odd. We usually don't have that much play in these things, but that's okay. The main reason I'm saying that's okay is because the traditional vintage colored version of the Laser Vipers didn't actually include this really cool backpack anywhere, so we were kind of stuck not having them. But luckily the nice folks over at the Convention Club decided to remedy that, and they actually released a little 3-pack of these things that were meant to go with that original release from 2 years ago. So if you happen to pick those guys up, you could try to pick up the set of alternate laser backpacks for them and kind of arm them up the way they were supposed to be the first time. But sadly I don't have those yet, so I don't know if they come in this black color or if they come in the traditional gray color. So if anybody out there knows, drop some comments down below. I am very curious about that because I do need to pick those up for those guys, but they're kind of hard to get right now. Anyways, this is cool. It does have a little bit of detail work going on here, not a whole lot, but again, the main attraction is these nice laser weapons here. As you can see, these turrets do turn, so if you need to, you can turn them side to side as well. The other accessory we do have here are these little hoses, and they actually attach to the backpack itself. So there's 2 little pegs on the back here. You just peg one of those hoses in there, and this hose is supposed to attach to that other top peg thing. If I can get it to go in there. There we go. Something like that. They're a little short if you ask me. If you turn them to the side there, they work a little bit better, but kind of defeats the purpose of having full frontal facing cannons there. I'm going to go ahead and attach this second hose real quick. Well, as quick as I can anyways. I don't know how quick that actually is, but we'll see. There we go. Pegs in like that, and you got those cool little hoses going all the way around. Then we just slice that thing back on there, and you're ready to go. Zim, 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 zim. Very cool looking. They may pop off like that right there, but if they do, just reattach them again. It's really the only downfall about this is those hoses there, but still, it's cool. I'm glad we actually got this backpack this time. Very nice looking. While we are here, let me zoom in a little bit, and let's take a look at these alternate heads if we can. So I actually don't see a lot of difference in them, and I'm not sure how well this picks up on the camera or not. But the main difference is basically the way that the eyes in the original one are basically not painted. They just look like a solid white. And the revised versions actually have the pupils painted in there. So that is theoretically how you can tell those apart. But it's a subtle difference. So I don't know how much stock you'll put into that. Especially once you actually toss the helmet on here, it's not really going to make a big difference. So if for some reason you can't get one of the alternate heads, don't really worry too much about it. Just put the cool helmet on there and you should be good to go there. So that being said, let's take a look at the figure itself. We got some really nice detail work going on here. Some really nice gold plated stuff, that silver buckly thing on the front. Nice Python Patrol logo on the side here. Some really awesome detail work on his back. Again, the red stripes on the black costume looks really nice here, and it works really well for this particular figure. And we've got the belt here with the nice Cobra logo on that as well. So yeah, overall that's a pretty nice looking paint job on this guy here. As far as articulation goes, the head does spin 360 degrees and has plenty of up and down motion as well, and really pops off fairly easily, so you can swap those heads out nice and easy there. So pretty cool. The shoulder joint is traditional ball and swivel there. Lots of articulation there. Standard ball and swivel at the elbow joint as well. And it looks like just a traditional swivel at the wrist. It's a little stiff in there, but yeah, just a swivel at the wrist. And I will point out the way the forearms are made, they're a little bit big because of the padding and stuff on there. So it looks a little odd to have the forearms quite larger than the upper arm here, but me nitpicking, I guess. Waist twist feature, plenty of ab crunch motion there. Actually a lot there. That's really cool. Standard T-hook at the waist joint or at the hip joint. So plenty of rotation there. Got a double knee joint there and ball and swivel at the ankle joint. So all in all, really nice. Let's go ahead and arm this guy back up here. So we take his cool little pistol here, stick it in his holster, throw his cool helmet on, toss his cool backpack on there, try to move his arm around enough so I can get this control mechanism here, joystick thing, to his hand. There we go. And you're good to go. You got a really awesome looking laser viper guy here. And again, you can kind of adjust these turret system things here wherever you need them to go. But yeah, that's a cool looking figure. And again, I think the Python Patrol 2.0 color scheme here, it actually does add that sinister effect to this guy. The original version was black and gray and silver color and blue. So this one definitely has a little bit more sinister vibe to it. And I would be hard pressed to tell you which one I like better, to be honest with you right now. Right now, this Python Patrol version gets the little bit of an extra edge simply because he's got the cool backpack with him. But yeah, there you go. Cool laser viper. Next up, we've got Major Bludd. Let's go ahead and open him up as well. So for Major Bludd here, we've actually got quite a few different variations of this guy in the past. And to be perfectly honest, I've never been that big of a fan of the figures that we've got. So maybe this one will change my mind a little bit, but let's see here. Cool little accessory pack here. The actual character himself is pretty interesting here. I always kind of liked his robot arm, but for whatever reason, the figures just never really clicked with me too awful much. Cool. Oh, and before I forget, we also have the alternate head here for Major Bludd. So don't forget about that. So we have here the traditional figure stand here. Nice Cobra logo here. 2-foot pegs. Major Bludd. For whatever reason, they didn't put the Python in front of this one, but yeah, it is what it is. So let's take a look at the accessories first. Looks like we got quite a few of them here. So off the bat here, we've got a little pistol here. Pretty nice looking. Looks like a little Glock or something like that. Just enough detail to make it interesting. And just small enough for me to keep dropping it. Pretty cool. On his side here, he also has a holster for that pistol here. And it fits in there pretty easily. Push it in there and it snugs up pretty good and won't fall out, so that's always a bonus. Go ahead and see if we can pull that out now. He also has his traditional rocket blaster with these nice gold rockets on it. And as you can see here, they actually are removable. They've got these 2 little bitty pegs. And then on the bottom of the actual rockets themselves, you got the little peg holes. And you just kind of line those up and press down to snap those in place. So that's cool. Nice detail on the pistol part anyways. And we get some extra rockets as well, so those are pretty cool here. Nice gold color to go with the color scheme. Looks like we get 4 of those total, and we also get a nice little backpack here. Not a lot of detail work on it, but it does have slots available for your rockets. So you just take your rocket and kind of press in from the bottom, and theoretically it'll lock in place here. There we go. Snug that up real nice and secure. And they fit in there pretty easily, pretty nicely, and they hold in place, luckily. So that's cool. Then we just snap his backpack on his back, and he's good to go. That's really awesome. We also have this cool, whatever kind of weapon you want to call this here. This looks a little bit like one of those sonic blasters we had in the Sonic Fighters realm, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so if anybody out there remembers for sure, drop some comments down below to let us know here. This could have just been the weapon that came with the actual Python Patrol vintage release of Major Bludd here. Still, it's got a ton of detail work on this thing. It's a really cool looking weapon. You've got a handle at the top, one at the bottom, or you can flip it around and have it that way if you want. So I would probably say it goes this way with your hand here, and then you grab it like that and bang bang. That's really cool. We also get the Major Bludd's helmet here, which is really nice looking. It's I really like that gold logo, the Cobra symbol on the front there. It looks like it may be just a shade off center there, but not too bad. It's made out of that real soft plastic as well. You just kind of slap that on his head there, and that works pretty well. Since we're at that point here, we might as well take a look at the actual head sculpt. Let's zoom in a little bit if we can here. So the head that comes with it is, again, I can see why they didn't stick with this one. It's a little bit of a weird head, but not too bad looking. He doesn't have his trademark mustache on this one. The alternate head basically looks the same, just has his mustache painted on. So that's kind of cool and interesting. So you can kind of swap one out for the other one and have him sans mustache or with the mustache. So yeah, so that's the alternate head that you get. I actually think I like the one with the mustache a lot better. So that's probably the one I'm going to end up going with. But we're going to leave this one here for the time being. But just so you can see it here, the helmet fits on this one as well. It's pretty much the same head sculpt, just with the mustache on there. I think is the only real difference that I can tell. But it's nice that they did kind of go back and add that in there so you can have them for your vintage collection in all its glory. So let's take a look at the figure itself. Again, it comes in the nice new Python Patrol 2.0 color scheme. The red stripes and the black checkers everywhere. This guy doesn't have as much gold highlights as most of the rest of these guys. And it actually works well for this figure, to be honest with you. The gold grenades here and the belt buckle is about the only gold part we've got. So that actually works really well for this guy. He does still have his robotic arm here, if anybody out there was worried. That's really my only big gripe about this figure, and pretty much all of the major Bludd figures. I really don't like the arm because it's not articulated. No hinge joint at the elbow or anything, so it's and it makes sense in context. If it actually is a robotic arm, you probably would maybe not have a lot of mobility there. So it works in that context, so I'm not going to deduct points for that. The rest of his costume looks really nice and detailed. We got some cool knee pads going on, and his flak vest thing here looks pretty awesome. He does have the Python Patrol logo there on his side there, on his shoulder, and the cool little vesty thing, that collar thing. So it looks pretty good. All in all, really nice. I think I really do like the less amount of gold on this guy particularly. I think I would have loved to have seen this new updated version of the Python Patrol colors in like a Cobra Trooper or a Viper. Just a standard Viper. That would have been really awesome. Anyways, articulation wise, the head does spin 360 degrees, and you got just a little up and down motion, not a whole lot. So unfortunately he is going to kind of glower at the ground a little bit, but no big deal there. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joint. Standard ball and swivel at the elbow joint, except on his right arm, which is just the shoulder joint. And then he's got a standard swivel at the wrist here, and the other arm also has a swivel at the wrist, so that's cool. We do have the rib cage twist feature there, which is nice, and plenty of ab crunch going on there, so that's very cool. Standard T-hook at the waist or the hips, so no limited mobility there whatsoever. We've got a double knee joint there, and a ball and swivel at the ankle joint. So yeah, that's a cool. I actually am digging this guy pretty well here. Let's go ahead and armor him up while we're at it. Grab his pistol and slap it in his holster here. Lock it in place. Grab his backpack, slap it on. I'm going to pop his head off here. So that's how you remove the head and swap it out here. There we go. And I do like this one a lot better. Give him his really cool helmet. And let's see here. We've got this really big gun here. Actually, I'm going to swap this to the left-hand side. And then give him his traditional rocket pistol thing in his right arm. So yeah, that's pretty cool looking. I'm digging this guy pretty well here. As I said before, I was not really a big fan of Major Bludd's previous figure releases, but I actually do really like this one. So yeah, it works really well. The color scheme works really well for Major Bludd, and all in all, it's just a really good figure here. So yeah, cool. Plus you get an alternate head here without his mustache if you don't like it that way. But again, that kind of red vibe here does make him look a little bit more sinister, and the mustache just adds that extra little oomph to it. So yeah, cool figure, man. Moving on to the Joes. Our first one up is Sergeant Smasher. So according to the actual story behind this, since Sergeant Slaughter was out of commission or unavailable, however you want to read it, they brought in the next guy up, which is Sergeant Smasher, to kind of fill in for Sergeant Slaughter during this whole Python Peril Marauders to the Rescue thing that they got going on here. So we get some cool figure here. This is a brand new figure for us. We've not had this particular character ever before, and we get a ton of accessories here with him, so that's always a bonus. Let's dump these things out and see what we've got. Alright, up first we've got the cool Slaughter's Marauders figure stand here. So these come in the nice brown color instead of the black. That's the Cobra figures came with. It's got the nice G.I. Joe logo on it, 2 foot pegs, and on the front, Sergeant Smasher. So that's really nice here. Very cool. I do like this. I don't really know why they went with a brown, other than it kind of goes well with the color scheme they've got for the rest of the Marauders here. So I'm assuming that's kind of why they did it that way. Anywho, let's move on to the accessories. Up first, we've got this cool cane thing, baton or whatever you want to call it here. This is very similar to the one that Sergeant Slaughter uses, so that's a cool little thing here. Nice little silver plate on the top of it, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. It's got some nice detail work on it. It's got the handle kind of wrapped with some I don't know, leather straps or something like that. It is a very soft plastic as well, so very bendy. So be looking about for that. We got a cool pistol here. Don't know what kind of pistol this is, but you know, I'm sure somebody out there does. So drop a comment down below, let us know about it. Pretty small amount of detail here, but still looks really nice. And just by looking, he does not have any kind of holster, so we don't get to put that in his holster, so oh well. The next thing we've got is this really awesome gun here. This particular Gatling gun thing actually came first with Rock and Roll. In the vintage line, it was the second or third version of Rock and Roll, and they actually just released a updated 50th anniversary or modern version of Rock and Roll with his cool Gatling guns here. So yes, this is in a nice black one instead of the gray. It's very cool looking. I love this gun. I've always liked this thing. We also have this cool little chain belt thing here, and what you can do is actually just attach this gun belt, bullet belt, down here underneath somehow. It's not all that easy, to be honest with you, and it may just be because this plastic is a little stiff right now. But in theory, you can just kind of shove that in there and latch it on to the underside of this gun here. And this one's not working right now. But, you know, do whatever you want to with it. But it's meant to do that. It's just kind of a little stiff right now. There we go. So it kind of attaches underneath there. Then the other side of this cool ammo belt here will attach to his backpack. Move your arm a little bit here. And it just kind of plugs in play. We've seen this same kind of backpack before with heavy duty, I think, and also some of the Iron Grenadiers. So you just kind of have to kind of smush it in place there, and it'll eventually lock in there. And of course it doesn't want to do that for me right now. So you got to kind of force it in there, but it will eventually lock in there. Let's go ahead and pull that off and take a look at this cool backpack though. Got a nice frame attached to it, some nice detail work, and we've got the Slaughter Marauders logo on the back. Got a nice texture to it as well. Beyond that, not a whole lot of detail work, but yeah, you just kind of have to keep jamming this thing in here until you get it to lock in place. I'm going to try it one more time here, and I'm not going to worry about it anymore. And that kind of works. Nope, keeps falling off. But anyways, it's a cool pack, nice ammo pack. Fits on his back pretty nice and snug. Isn't going to fall off or anything, so that's cool. Our other accessory we have here is the Marine Drill Sergeant hat. So, nice green color. Fits on his head nice and easy. So that's really nice. It works pretty well here. Again, it is not Sergeant Slaughter, so just kind of move past that. But since we've got done with that now, we also have this whistle thing here. Which is removable, as you can see. It's just a kind of a necklace kind of thing here. Just fits over his neck there easily, and so you can. Your drill sergeant has to have his whistle so he can yell at recruits when they screw up. So that's really nice here. So since we're at it, let's go ahead and look at the figure itself here. It's a pretty cool looking figure. The detail work on it is really nice. You've got a nice new head sculpt here with a cool mohawk on it. Beyond that, it's a slightly different version of a couple of the figures we've seen in the past. But all in all, it looks really nice. I really love the color scheme on this thing anyways. I've always really liked the Slaughter Marauders color scheme anyways, and this just works really well for that. He does have this cool removable vest that's kind of hard to remove, but it is removable, so you can work at it if you want to and just pull it off. I'm going to leave it on there for right now. Beyond that, this guy doesn't really have a whole lot of details going on his outfit, but it still looks cool. I really do dig this strap on his arm here, so that's really nice. Beyond that, let's look at articulation. The head does spin 360 degrees, and we got a little bit up and down motion. I'm going to pull that thing off right there for right now. That is a really soft plastic as well, so just be careful of that. It may break on you. Anyways, up and down motion, pretty good there. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joints, standard ball and swivel at the elbow joints, and looks like just a swivel at the wrist. Still looks really nice though. He does have his rib cage twist feature there, and he's got some ab crunch going on there, even though he really doesn't have abs too much. But nice bulky figure. It looks really cool. Standard T-hook at the waist, the hips, and no limiting mobility there whatsoever. This guy is a little bit loose here on his legs, but the more I move it around, you can kind of get it in the right place and it kind of catches. So I think that's just this particular sample, I guess you would say. Yours probably won't have that issue, but mine does, so just something to be wary of. He does have a double knee joint, which is cool, and a ball and swivel at the ankle joint, so very nice there. Yeah, this is a pretty cool little figure here. Again, you just kind of have to get past the fact that it is not Sergeant Slaughter, and once you are able to reconcile that in your brain, I think you'll really dig this figure. It's really growing on me anyways. Let's go ahead and suit him up. Let's see here. So the bad thing is he doesn't have room for all of his weapons at one time. So I'm going to slap that bullet chain in the side there, just because I don't feel like getting it in there. We will go ahead and give him this huge Gatling gun pistol thing. If I can get it to go in his hand. There we go. Perfect. Then this thing can just kind of wrap around, and we'll put it right there for right now. And we got to put his hat on for sure. And I think I'm going to stick his baton in his hand. So that still leaves his pistol unaccounted for. You can find a place on his backpack here and just kind of slide it in there like so. So technically he can carry all of his weapons and get on with what he's got to get done. So yeah, this is a really cool looking figure, even if it's not Sergeant Slaughter. And I know I keep saying that. I haven't quite got over it yet either, but still, taken by itself, out of pushing Slaughter to the side here, this is a cool figure. The color scheme really works really well. The blue, the two different tones of green, and the brown and black, it just works really well. So yeah, this is a cool figure here. I'm really digging on this guy here, so. The next figure up for review here is Hardball. Comes in a nice sealed bag like the rest of these guys. And again, this is the first time we actually get a new modern version of Hardball. He is in the Slaughter Marauders colors and not in the original vintage release colors, but that's okay. We're not going to hold that against him. That's kind of weird. Don't know what that is. Let's see. Let's open this accessory pack here first. Actually, let's take a look at this, see what the devil this is. This looks like, okay, yeah. That's just his silencer. Put that back where it's supposed to go. Now we'll dump these guys out and see what we got. Cool. So to start off with, we have the nice figure stand here. It's in the nice brown color like the rest of the Slaughter Marauders in this set. Nice G.I. Joe raised logo here. 2 foot pegs and Hardball on the front here. So very cool looking. As far as accessories go, we do have a nice looking backpack. Very cool, lots of nice little details. We've actually seen this pack in the past, and it's always been a nice looking one. The color scheme they got going on here, the little details they've painted on, make it work pretty nicely. It pops a little bit more than normal here. The nice spade here is a brown color, and it's got the blue highlights on the straps, and the cool Slaughter Marauders logo there on the top there. So very nice. Take the figure and just kind of pop it in his back there. Fits really well. So yeah, very nice, very cool. We also get a nice ball cap here, which Hardball is kind of signature cap there. Actually fits on him pretty nicely. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And his weapon of choice here is, of course, this cool grenade launcher thing. Don't really know what this is modeled after, but it's cool nonetheless. We saw another version of this from a couple of the other characters, but it's nice to finally get this one in the nice gray color here. It does have a rotating shell casing thing here. Ammo can, whatever you want to call it here. Very nice detail work all the way around. Very cool looking. And it spins. It's a little wobbly in there, but not that big a deal here. It still looks really awesome, so that's really cool. The other accessories we get are attached to him himself. So he does have a nice knife in his leg holster there. Pretty straightforward boot knife that we've seen in previous iterations of different characters. A little bit of detail work on the hilt. Whoop. Beyond that, just a kind of a regular knife, but it is nice that he does have a sheath on his boot there to kind of stick that in there, and it stays in there nice and tight. On his upper leg here, we do have the traditional silencer and pistol combo. These things have been really cool since they started doing this here, and I've always really liked these things. Not a lot of detail work in the actual pistol itself. If you look real close, you can see some detail, but not a whole lot. But we do get this awesome little silencer to go along with it, if I can hold on to it, which I'm having a hard time with. Pretty cool looking. Again, not a lot of detail work, but just enough. That silencer just fits on the end of the barrel there. Makes it look really cool. You can also let it double as a little flashlight or whatever you want to do there. And they do both fit into the holster here. Nice and snug and secure. Kind of slap it in there and you're good to go. So that's pretty much all the accessories we get here, and that's enough for this character anyways, because it's Hardball. It's cool. Looking at the figure itself, he doesn't have a whole lot of detail work on him, but the original vintage release didn't really need a whole lot. He's got his kind of traditional top half anyways, and it's pretty close to the original color scheme anyways. The only real difference here is the bottom half here. The blues may be a little bit different as well, but it's still really nice to get this character finally. He does have some cool little, I guess those are grenades on his arm there. Pretty nice looking. Some nice pouches on his side here. Beyond that, not really a whole lot going on, but it still works really well. Nice and clean look here. Nice Joe logo on the front there. And he's got this cool strap thing here for his, I guess, backpack straps. Anyways, it looks really awesome. It's a nice clean look here. So yeah, I'm actually digging this guy pretty well here. As far as articulation goes, the head does spin 360 degrees. And we got a little bit up and down motion. So that's cool. Traditional ball and swivel at the shoulder joint there. Traditional ball and swivel at the elbow joint, and it has a swivel and the rocker on his wrist there, so that is very cool as well. We haven't seen a whole lot of that being used recently, but so it's nice to kind of get a couple of those here. You have the waist twist here, or the rib cage twist feature. And he's got a lot of the ab crunch motion going on there, so that's really cool. Traditional T-hook at the hip joints. No shortage of articulation there. Does have a double knee joint there. Those knee pads are removable. You can kind of pop those off if you want to. And just kind of pegs in there. And that one just shot all the way across the room. So let me get that put back on there real quick. So yeah, be careful of that if you do pop these things off. They can jump off on you. Then we do have the ball and swivel at the ankle joint as well. So that's pretty cool. All in all, very nice articulation. Really the only thing I'm not liking on this thing is just the actual ankle joints themselves seem very small and would be kind of prone to breakage if you're not very careful, but still, all in all, the figure itself looks great. Let's go ahead and suit him up and get him ready for combat here. Whoops. His ball cap fits on there most of the time. There we go. Slap his backpack on there. Move his arm around a little bit so we can get his big gun out. And there we go. You've got Hardball. So yeah, I actually really like this particular figure. It ended up being really cool, really nice. I'm gonna rotate his arm around a little bit. I do like that ammo case thing on the top side of it there, so like so. So yeah, this is a cool figure, man. I'm glad we got this guy finally, and I don't know, they may actually come out and release one of these in the traditional vintage color, maybe in the last wave that they put out before Fun Pub kind of closes shop up, but we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. But still, this is a really great figure. Even though it is in the Marauders colors, it still works really good as a generic or vintage version of Hardball. So yes, cool. Our next figure in the set is Spirit and Freedom. We got a couple of different versions of Spirit in the past. One in the vintage color that actually did come with Freedom here. And we actually got a couple more sans Freedom. And for whatever reason, they ended up going with a head sculpt that looked remarkably like Billy from Predator, which was cool in its own right, but never quite matched up with my idea of what Spirit should look like. And for whatever reason, they've always kind of had trouble getting a good head sculpt for this guy. We'll look at that here in just a minute here. Let's go ahead and get the rest of his accessories out. Cool. So we get a nice rifle, a nice knife, his cool backpack, figure stand, Freedom, and the Spirit figure itself. So let's start off by looking here at the actual figure stand. Traditional 25th anniversary released figure stand here in the nice brown Marauder color. Raised G.I. Joe logo there on the top. Two foot pegs. Then his code name, which is actually Spirit Iron Knife and Freedom. It's nice that they actually included Freedom's code name there as well. So very cool looking. I like that a lot. I think the reason they put the Iron Knife on there was because of some of the copyright issues. They couldn't just call it Spirit anymore. So they went with Spirit Iron Knife, which is kind of his full name, so it's cool. Backpack. This is a pretty cool looking pack here. It is kind of a two-piece here, so you can remove the actual backpack itself. It's got the nice Slaughter Marauders logo on it, and some actual painted highlights on the grenades here on the side. The rest of the pack itself here has some nice detail work on it. You've got some cool arrowheads here on the side, and these are actually removable, so you can kind of pop those out, and they actually work in tandem here with the rifle, and these are actual ammo packs. So you pop that off and slide those in, and you've got extra ammo cans. So that's kind of a cool little feature there. I don't remember if I mentioned that in the last Spirit review I did for the 50th anniversary or not, but it's still a cool feature here. We'll just pop this thing back on here. There are just these 2 pegs on the pack, the frame, and 2 peg holes on the actual pack itself. Just line those up and slap them in there. It's kind of loose fitting, so a little bit prone to falling off, but not too bad. Kind of just have to move his shoulder straps around a little bit to get the hole aligned here, and then just slap his backpack on him like so, and you're good to go there. So very nice. And pull that back off. That one's in there pretty tight there, so just be mindful of that as you're trying to pull that off. You may accidentally pull this piece off, but don't worry about it if you do. And conversely, you can actually turn that thing upside down if you like it this way a little bit better. But actually those 2 pegs are 2 different sizes, so yeah, that's not really something they want you to do. So any which way. Let's go for the knife first. And we get this nice kind of traditional knife here. It's got some real basic detail work on it, but it still looks really nice. I didn't actually see a sheath on him anywhere. No. So no place to actually hold the knife, but that's okay. You can kind of stick it in his backpack on one of the sides here if you want to, but still nice to have that extra little knife here. Then we also have his rifle here, which is, as we mentioned before, it does have a removable clip here. And I don't really know which way these are supposed to go, if the arrows are supposed to point up or down. To me, it makes more sense to have them pointing sideways, like so. And you can kind of just flip that around however you want to. For whatever reason, they came with the arrows pointing down, and they fit in there a little bit looser that way. So just something to keep in mind. But I actually think they need to go that way, so we're going to put mine that way. As far as detail goes, there is quite a bit of detail work on this rifle here. It looks really nice. Very cool looking. The only thing about it is that some of these rifles in the past have been kind of difficult to fit in their hands. So you just kind of have to work at that a little bit to get it to go in there. And to get them to grip it. And this one is no different here. It's really the only bad part about this particular thing. So he can grab the stock pretty easy, but not near the trigger handle. So no big deal. Let's move on and take a look at our pal Freedom here. This thing is really awesome looking. It's got a lot of detail work in it. Hopefully that's picking up on the camera here. All the little feathers are kind of molded and sculpted in there, so it looks really awesome. They did a pretty good job on the paint. And he does have the his claws here, and it is made out of this flexible plastic here, so you can kind of bend it around however you want to. And in this case, the legs are a little bit to the side there. So you can heat up a little bit of warm water and kind of shift that back around wherever you want it to be. But he can, Freedom can attach to his arm like so. And there you go. He's holding Freedom out there. So that's cool. It's a very nice little animal critter here. let's move on to look at Freedom. This figure itself is kind of plain. The head sculpt looks still a little bit off, but not as bad as some of the ones in previous. It actually looks a little bit more like the, what was it, the Air Commandos version of him. But still, it's got some nice detail work on it. The color scheme works really well for this guy in this particular situation. And again, thinking back to the original vintage release of Spirit with the Slaughter Marauders, it was kind of plain anyways, so it's not really that much different here. He does have one knife here on his shoulder, or whatever you want to call that, his web gear here. It looks like it is non-removable. It is actually glued in place here, so you can't actually remove that one, so that's a negative, but still it looks pretty good, and it's got some nice details here. The nice gold hilt right there, or guard. Beyond that, some nice pouches, but not a lot of detail work on this guy. But his boots, the tops of them are a nice texture here, so they're kind of meant to be like fur or something to that effect. So that's nice. Articulation wise, his head does spin 360 degrees. His little ponytail doesn't really get in the way whatsoever. He's got some pretty good up and down motion there, so that's nice. Traditional ball and swivel at the shoulder joint. Ball and swivel at the elbow joint. And just actually, he's got swivel and rocker here at the wrist. A little stiff there, but yeah. Cool, we get another articulation point there, so nice. He does have the ab or rib cage twist feature there, and pretty good ab crunch feature there. It's a little bit limited there, but not too bad. Traditional T-hook at the hip joints, so full range of motion there. Double knee joints with, again, that knee brace thing, knee pad that is removable. You can pop that off if you want. And he does have a swivel and rocker here at his ankle. So all in all, really good articulation on this guy. It's again a little bit bland, not a whole lot going on, but we still get Spirit in the Slaughter Marauders version, so that's always going to be a plus in my book anyways. So let's go ahead and gear this guy up. Slap his backpack on. I think I'm going to try to get his rifle in his left hand this time. See if it works any better. A little bit better, but not a whole lot. So yeah, that's still a negative. You can kind of get it to pop in there, and I think it'll hold pretty well, but yeah. Anyways, grab his knife, stick it in his other hand here. That works pretty good. And then Spirit or Freedom can either pop on the top of his backpack there. It may have to watch about that extra ammo can popping off, but you can hook him on the back there. Like so. A little bit wonky, but not too bad. Or you can have him hook onto the shoulder or the arm there, whichever one you prefer. So, yeah. It's a cool figure. I really like the Marauders colors on this guy, but not really my favorite out of this batch so far. But it's not too bad, actually. So. Our next figure in the set is Mutt and Junkyard. So let's go ahead and get this guy open here. So Mutt and Junkyard have always been a favorite of mine, along with many others. But the 25th anniversary release has been one of the better figures, in my opinion, that they've had so far. So I'm really excited to finally get this guy in the Slaughter Marauders color scheme. And hopefully it will be as awesome as the other one was. But yes, very excited about this one. Dump out the accessories here. Cool. Alright, so what and all do we have here? To start with, we do have the figure stand here. Again, the same brown color that we've had for the other ones in this set for the Joes. Nice Joe logo, 2 foot pegs, Mutt and Junkyard here on the top. So very nice looking. Accessory wise, we're going to go ahead and start here with Junkyard. They've done a really good job with this sculpt. They always have done. Very nice paint job. This one just looks really cool. He is made out of that soft plastic, so he's a little bit flexible, so you don't have to worry too much about hurting him or anything else. Some nice paint job, nice detail work. You can see the teeth on him, his little tongue, and his eyes are painted. So yeah, very cool looking. Nice shading effects going on the underside here. Very cool looking. Very nice job with Junkyard. We also get Junkyard's collar here and his leash. So that just fits over top of his neck here. Kind of have to squeeze it a little bit to get it on there. But there we go. And you've got a nice leash for Junkyard. Very cool looking. It's kind of a little thinner than I'm remembering. So it may be kind of prone to breakage a little bit, but it still looks really cool. Some nice detail work, if you can see on here or not. There's some little studs going around the actual collar itself. Little like buckles and things like that where they would connect that. So yeah, overall very nice looking, very cool. We also get a nice little Uzi with a silencer on it. Nice basic details on this thing. Nothing too outstanding, but it does its job for what it needs to do. So yeah, it looks really cool. We also get a little knife here. Or a slightly larger knife, I should say. A little bit of detail work there in the handle. Beyond that, not really a whole lot going on there. We also get a baton here. A little bit of detail there on the handle itself, but beyond that, not a whole lot going on. But still, we get it, and it's cool. And we also get the helmet, which I don't know how well this picks up on the camera or not, but they have done a nice job with painting this. So the actual goggles themselves are this nice brown color, and you've got the black on the actual helmet itself, and then the silver highlight on the actual lenses of those goggles there. So that's very cool looking. Slap it on his head here, and you've got him all geared up and ready, so that's cool. The muzzle there on the original vintage figure was actually a strap kind of thing that went all the way around the helmet. This one has actually just got a little peg system built into it, so you can kind of unpeg that and he can have it without the muzzle, and it actually still looks pretty cool there without the muzzle. But I really do like the fact that they include that muzzle there. It gives him that little bit of extra edge where most of the time, you know, the dog is who needs muzzling, and but they think Mutt is actually the one who needs the muzzle. So it's pretty cool. anyways, it looks really awesome with it on here. Very nice job there. It's a little bit big and a little bit loose there. You'll just want to play around with it to get it to look the way you want it to, but it stays in place. So yeah, that's really nice. Pop that thing back off for the moment. And let's take a look at the actual figure itself. So as far as things go, we do have one little sheath here on his side for his knife. So you can just slap that on there, and it actually fits in there really well. Comes out pretty easily. Pretty nice there. He's got another knife kind of sculpted onto his vest there, which is non-removable. And on this particular one, the vest is kind of coming off right there, but it's just a little peg system, so you can just kind of squish it back on there if yours does that. If you need to, you can heat it up with a little bit of water and get it to latch back in there correctly. But beyond that, the actual details on it, there's not a lot going on. There's a little bit on the vest itself. They've got some nice silver highlights on the actual metal, and then his actual button on his pocket there has got a nice little silver highlight. Got the Slaughter Marauders logo on the back there. Beyond that, he's got his nice, dog handler glove, and that's pretty much it for detail wise. He does have the nice crazy pattern on his knee pads right here, which is back to the old vintage version. Very nice job there, and he's got some interesting boots and pants going on there. So yeah, overall really cool looking. Articulation wise, the head does spin 360 degrees and has plenty of up and down motion. This one's good any which direction you want to go. And I want to say the head sculpt is slightly different than the original release, but I can't say for sure. My memory isn't serving me real well right now, but still looks really nice, especially with the helmet on there. Traditional ball and swivel at the shoulder joint, ball and swivel at the elbow joint, and you've got looks like just a swivel joint at the wrist, no added articulation there. Then we do also have the rib cage twist feature, and you've got some ab crunch going on here. His actual vest itself isn't inhibiting anything whatsoever, so that's really nice. Standard T-hook at the hips, double knee joint, and ball and swivel, actually, yeah, ball and swivel at the ankle joint there. So all in all, very cool looking. The color scheme itself actually works really well here for Junkyard and Mutt. So the blue, the green, the brown, and the green, the two-tone green kind of worked really well in this particular situation. I'm fussing a little bit here with his arm. It's just a little stiff here. If I had to point anything out, I would probably say that this one right arm is just a little bit off. It is slightly a different color than the rest of these, and it looks a little scrawny to me, but that may just be the way it's looking right now. But and it may be just in comparison with his big gauntleted hand here. But beyond that, it still is really nice. It looks really cool. Let's go ahead and gear him up here and get him ready to go. Got his knife to slide there in his side. Put his little Uzi in his right hand. Actually, before we do that, we're going to go ahead and take his baton and slide it over his wrist, and then put his Uzi on. And then in his other hand, we're going to grab the leash for Junkyard. Just barely fits on there, but you can slide it up over the hand there pretty easily. And there you go. He's all geared up and ready to go fight Cobra. Go find them some dreadnoughts. So yes, this is really a cool looking figure. They did a really good job here. It just works really well. Again, it's one of my favorites. So very nice job here. So yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed with this one whatsoever. It does, again, use the same sculpt as the original 25th anniversary version that came out a long time ago. But, you know, when something works, you don't really need to change it too much. So for this one, it works, and I'm glad of it. The last figure in the set is Footloose, our infantryman. So again, this is the just a re-release basically with a new paint job. The first time we actually got Footloose in the 25th anniversary line was actually as a convention, sorry, not a convention, a collector's club exclusive. And it was with his vintage colors and everything. They actually released a new version in the movie line. That was, I think, a Kmart exclusive, I believe. It came in a 4-pack. And so that's pretty much all we've seen of Footloose so far. So it's really nice to get an extra, or another version of him, and to have him back in the ranks here and get the attention he really deserves here. Let's dump his accessories out here and see what we got. He's got a lot of stuff going on here. So to start with, we do get a nice new foot stand, figure stand, the nice G.I. Joe logo, 2 foot pegs, Footloose on the front, and it's in that nice Marauder brown there, so very nice. Let's look at the actual backpack first. He gets one of these kind of oversized backpacks, which is really nice. Nice brown, really nice detail work all the way around. Slaughter Marauders logo on there. And the one thing that you'll notice is he's got these weird rubber band things on here. And to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what that is all about, other than the fact it looks really cool. And you can use it to strap some of his other weapons onto his back with. So, yeah, that's interesting. The bands are actually held in place here at the bottom with this weird whatever system it is. And if you'll notice here, you've also got a place in his backpack for his flashlight to go. So we'll come back to that in a second, but the pack itself fits on his back. You may just have to move his shoulder harness around a little bit to get it to reveal the peg on his back, the peg hole. Let's see if we can get it to come down here enough to see that. There we go. Slide that in place there. And he's good to go. Very nice looking. Pop that back off of there. So while we're talking about it, he does come with a flashlight as an accessory. We've seen the flashlight before in a couple of different iterations, but it's got not really a whole lot of detail work on it, but just enough to know that it's a flashlight. And as we said before, there's actually a place on his backpack here on the underside here. It just snaps in place right there, and it kind of holds pretty well actually, so doesn't fall out or anything, so that's really nice. That's cool. We also have this cool bazooka. Very nice detail work here. It's kind of got a two-tone color going on, so you've got kind of a matte black, almost a gray color here, and then kind of a glossy edge on this side right here. Yeah, cool handle, which is made out of that real soft plastic, and a nice strap here for him. So you can strap it on his back like so, or he can hold it up and shoot it. It does have a nice little arm rest there. So very cool looking. It's a throwback to that original vintage release here. And along with that, we do get one of these missiles here. Again, not a lot of detail work on the missile itself, but it's a rocket, so you just kind of drop it in, and it kind of goes in there. You may have to kind of move it around a little bit, but well, it may be not as good as I'm remembering it being, but you do get one anyways. There we go. You just kind of have to force it in there a little bit, but we'll count that as a place to store it as well. And you can slide it in that way too if you prefer, and shoot it the opposite way, but still you get a place to put it, so that's fine. It's nice to have a reloadable rocket launcher there. Beyond that, we get a nice little pistol here. Again, a little bit of detail work, not a whole lot going on here, but it still looks really nice. We also get a nice small machete. No detail really on it whatsoever, but you get a nice machete. And we get his assault rifle, which to me looks a little bit like an M16, but with a little stock on the front here. Oop. This one has quite a bit of detail work on it, if I can get the light to show up there. It's a very cool looking weapon. And then we get his helmet here. So the helmet itself is really cool and has a lot of detail work. Unfortunately, it's painted solid black, so you don't get really any of those highlights showing up on it whatsoever. So it's really kind of hard to see that. But he does have his traditional, it's essentially kind of a ghillie suit helmet version. It's got some nice webbing on it and some leaves and things like that. Fits on his head very easily, very nice looking. So yeah, that's a cool thing. And I can't remember back to the original vintage version. I think the helmet was actually painted more the brown and green and blue color, if I remember correctly. But you know, drop some comments, let me know below if you can recall that far back or whatever. Moving on to the figure itself. It's a pretty basic figure. It's kind of one of the early release kind of candidates here. So not a whole lot of detail work going on here. His web gear has quite a bit of stuff going on. It looks like he's got some extra ammos and some cool pouches and a nice radio up here at the top. So very nice looking. The color scheme works really well for this guy as well. He has some slightly different texture here in his the bottom half of his pants, or all of his pants, I guess you could say, and the cool little detail work on his boots there. Beyond that, it's pretty basic. Got some nice little detail here on his web gear that I can't really make out, but nice buckles and everything as well. You do kind of have to play around with that web gear to get it to sit on there correctly and still give you access to that back peg. Really cool looking head sculpt here. Looks really nice. It looks pretty well spot on with the original here, so no problems with that whatsoever. Articulation wise, the head does spin 360 degrees. And we don't actually get a lot of up and down motion, just a little bit, but there you go. Traditional ball and swivel at the shoulder joints, ball and swivel at the elbow joints, standard swivel, and we also actually have that rocker feature in his wrist. So that's a added little bonus there, so that's really cool. We do have the rib cage twist feature there and plenty of ab crunch motion going on. That's really cool. Standard T-hook at the waist, hips, whatever you want to call them. Does have a double knee joint there and a standard swivel and rocker at the ankle. So yes, he hits all of those points of articulation that we're hoping for and does it well. So Very cool looking. Let's go ahead and try to get him geared up here. I'm going to start with the backpack since it's kind of the hard one to get on there. But once you get it on there, it stays in place pretty well, and you can kind of readjust those shoulder straps however you need to get it to look the way you want it to. We'll toss on his helmet here. We'll sling his rocket launcher on his back. We'll just drop that little missile thing down in there. We'll take his knife and just kind of shove it in here like so. We'll put his assault rifle here in his right hand. And throw his pistol in his left hand. Try to. It's small and I got big fingers. There we go. So yes, technically Footloose can carry all of his weapons without any problem. So that is a really cool thing. Again, I really do like this particular figure. My all-time favorite figure has got to be Dusty, hands down. But right alongside him, you've got Footloose. And Footloose is kind of always palled around with Dusty and everything, so it's nice to kind of get that extra Slaughter's Marauders version. We got the Tiger Force version of Dusty, and I actually would have really loved to have seen a Slaughter's Marauders version of Dusty, but that's a whole nother conversation whatsoever. But there you go, there is Footloose. So yeah, this one I actually definitely highly recommend you pick it up. Whether you get the set or not, I think you probably will want this one. And there you have the entire Convention Exclusive box set. All in all, I think this is an outstanding set. It really made me pretty happy here to get this one. When they originally announced that they were going to do Slaughter's Marauders, I kind of went immediately and started putting the money back to get this from the actual club itself, because I knew it was going to be awesome. And to be honest with you, I'm really not disappointed at all. So as far as picking best worst kind of stuff, I think my favorite figures are probably going to be Footloose, Mutt and Junkyard, and probably the Laser Viper and the Heat Viper. The least favorite figures are probably going to be the Lamprey and Spirit and Freedom. But with that said, there really isn't really a bad figure in here. They all have some good qualities going on. I really do like the Python Patrol concept, and I really love the Slaughter's Marauders concept, so that's really awesome. So yeah, if you haven't picked this thing up yet, I think you're going to want to, and you probably want to do it sooner rather than later, because this thing is probably just going to increase in price the longer you wait. But yeah, there you go. Use this review as best you can to try to make up your own mind and decide if you want to, cherry pick a couple of these or not. So it's up to you at this point. But now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So I've got one last thing before we officially sign off here. I did want to just bring in, for the sake of comparison, Sergeant Slaughter in the Slaughter's Marauders colors. This is the custom figure that I had done, and I've got a review of the actual figure itself. Feel free to check that out. But I just wanted to kind of throw this in here and let you see that kind of side by side with the rest of these characters. And to me, it actually works really well. It's an awesome custom figure that they did a great job on, and it actually does mesh up really well with the rest of these figures. In comparison, they got everything almost right on everything. The only thing I would say is it probably needs a little bit of dark brown on the bottom of the top of the lower half of the legs. But beyond that, yeah, this is a cool custom Sergeant Slaughter for the Slaughter Marauders that would have been awesome to have as part of this set, but because we didn't get that, go find a custom. It works really awesomely here. That's all the time we've got for today, so thanks for watching. Drop some comments down below to let us know what you think of the Slaughter Marauders Convention Exclusive set and the Python Patrol. If you'd like to see something in future episodes, feel free to leave a comment down below as well, and I'll see what I can do to get it on the list. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Give us a big thumbs up if you dig what we're cooking, and share it with your friends if you'd like. And until next time, Yo Joe.